welcome to our show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm AJ Dean, your host, and I have my spooky co-host with me, Paul Vato. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
It's going wonderfully. I'm so excited, especially for today's episode. So, AJ, thank you for making me a part of this. You look amazing. I feel underdressed, but you look amazing. So thank you for making this so much fun.
Why, thank you so much, Paul. You're right. We have a very spectacular show. We have a special VIP in the building tonight for all you wonderful fans. We have Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster on the famous TV show, The Munsters, and we want to give him a very warm and special welcome. Hello, Butch, and how are you?
Hello there, AJ. Mom. AJ.
I love
I'm so
that.
Confused.
That's one of the highest compliments that anyone could ever say to me. So thank you so much, Butch. It's such a pleasure. And I want to tell you, this is really a dream come true, Butch. I know that you are on tour right now. You're in Munster. Is that right? The town of Munster?
I was in Munster a few hours ago, and I'm outside of Munster. It's I think it's called Millville. I'm not really sure, but let's just say Munster it's nearby. And I'm on my way to Indianapolis tomorrow. It's all Munster, Indiana today, and then Rob Zombie concert tomorrow, and then Days of the Dead with Danny Roebuck, who plays the Count in the new Rob Zombie Munster movie. So it's a whole lot of Munster going on.
Wow, you are such a busy guy. Well, we want to thank you so much for taking your time out to spend your evening with us. We so appreciate you. And we want to jump right into it because you mentioned Mr. Rob Zombie's movie, and that's so fascinating. It's coming up in September. So we've got two of these great posters on Rob Zombie film of The Munsters and Munster Go Home. So let's talk about the first one, which is so exciting. And it's coming out in September 2022. And Butch, you play the Tin Can Man. Is that right?
I am doing a voice of the Tin Can Man. Yes, I'm doing a voiceover. Rob, as people know, is a wonderful musician and filmmaker, very creative guy, but he's a huge over-the-top Munsters fan, always has been. And he has been seeking out the rights to do this Munster movie it's 20 years now, but I guess he got the go-ahead a few years ago. So it was like 18 years in the works and 2 years in production. And it's going to premiere on Netflix in September. So I'm very excited about it. He reached out to me a few years ago. We did commentary on a Munster Go Home Blu-ray. I had met him before, years before, but this was the first time we really sat and chatted and talked and got to know each other. And I just really enjoy his company. And I actually met him at his house, him and Sherry. I drove my Munster coach up there in June of last year, and we went for a little spin around Connecticut. It was fun. But anyway, it was great. He's a wonderful guy and a very, very fun person, and I'm really happy about the movie.
I am so excited. I'm thrilled for you, and I can't wait. I just can't wait to see it. I'm absolutely over the moon. And so I do want to ask you one question, Butch, about the movie. What was the experience like working with film director Rob Zombie? Because he does an amazing amount of videos and films. Can you share with us a little bit about working on set with him?
Actually, my voiceover, I wasn't on set. My particular situation was the voiceover artist. So I actually shifted gears and did nothing but voiceover work, which I had done a little bit before. I did some stuff for The Phantom Toll Booth was a Chuck Jones film that I starred in years ago with Mel Blanc and June Foray and Dawes Butler and a bunch of the classic voiceover people. And then I also did some Simpson work, a couple Simpsons. So I've done voiceover before, but this is the newest version of it. So yeah, I'm actually a voiceover artist in this.
Wow, well, congratulations. And I'm just so, like I said, I'm so thrilled and excited. And I just can't wait for the premiere and the movie to show on Netflix. Is that right, Butch?
Yes, it is. It's on Netflix. It was just announced yesterday.
Wonderful. Okay, I do want to jump over to the second movie poster we have, Munster Go Home. This is where you played Eddie and you visit your relatives in England. Now, this is one of my favorites, and I wanted to ask you, where did you film this? Did you actually go to England?
No, no. I tell people, yeah, we went to England on a cardboard boat. No, we never made it to England. We went to the back lot of Universal, Hollywood Magic. The budget was such, but we brought in a lot of English actors.
Yes, and I loved it, and really some great ones. And that's one of my favorite movies of all time. And so, I think I went a little bit out of focus. Let me get back in on and focus on here so that I can. There we are. I'm back in focus. I did want to ask and actually talk to you about your website. Now, you're updating your website, and so everyone, please check out Butch Patrick's website. It's going to be in the next few weeks or few months, but I do want to mention you've got great videos and merchandise on there. They're wonderful gifts for if you have friends or family that has a birthday coming up or whatever occasion. And I wanted to share mine. I got an autographed book signing from Butch. This is his book. It's wonderful, and you can order it online. It's called Butch Patrick's Munster Memories, a mini coffin table book. It's one of my favorites all time, if you can see that there. So you can order this on Butch Patrick's Munsters.com website. And like I said, it's being revamped in a few weeks. Butch, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Basically, years ago, back in the 90s, I acquired the website Munsters.com. And it's been very, very helpful because it's easy to remember and it's all about things Munsters. Well, about 7 or 8 months before, it was in 2014, early 2014, I wanted to do a collectible book for the 50th anniversary of the Munsters, which was September 24th. So in less than a year, Rich Maurizio, my dear friend who also did the Munsters TV comics, I hired him and commissioned him to do this book. And what we did is we did 100 hardcover rectangular versions of it that sold out immediately. And then because I only wanted to make them very collectible, we never made any more. But what we did is we reconfigured the rectangular book into a square book, and all the information's in there. And that book is really a good, it's information for, I contacted the people that were still alive that were involved with the show, friends and family and whatever. I contacted fans had come to me with their stories. It was just very easy to write. All I had to do was add in some experiences of my own and some, like I say, some people that were associated with the show, and then some super collectors because the Munsters has so many toys and it's been so heavily merchandised. So it's a mishmash of everything Munsters, and it's just a really fun little read.
I love it. It's one of my favorite books. Like I said, it's one of my treasures, and it's in my special area with my other books that I hold dear to my heart. And thank you so much for that, Butch. And I encourage everybody to check that out because it's so much fun. And also, I want to let you know that Butch has been touring the country with a reproduction of the Munster Roadster. So can you tell us, Butch, a little bit about what is 1313 Mockingbird Maze?
Okay, 1313 Mockingbird Maze was, I had a Munster coach and a Dragula in a very large trailer. And when I bought both the cars, I thought I would do the recreations of Hot Rod Herman at the drag strip. Well, we were only doing about one drag strip a year, and there really wasn't a need to have two cars. So I sold the Dragula, and I took the front of the trailer where the Dragula used to be, and I turned it into an escape room, and I called it Mockingbird Maze. And it was a 5-puzzle, Munster inspired, and we had a living room and then we had a laboratory. But I then sold that, and I only have a 20-foot trailer right now with my Munster coach, but I'm building another Dragula and I have my Munster Harley. But what I'm going to do when I move to Arkansas, my plan is to build an actual attraction down there, of a Munsters inspired sort of a campground / scary, spooky lakefront situation. There were Uncle Gil, the creature of the Black Lagoon, and the Wolfman would feel very comfortable, or I should say Uncle Lester and the Munsters. So this escape room was wonderful. I enjoyed it very much. It was built by Little Spider Creations, who were world-class builders and dear friends of mine. But I achieved what I wanted to do. It worked, and now I'm doing something different. But what the main thing is with the new All Things Munster YouTube channel, which took over for Coach to Coast, because I was doing a Coach to Coast YouTube channel before the pandemic. Pandemic put the kibosh on that for a year. And then now with the Rob Zombie movie, I thought I would encompass everything that I do into one new YouTube channel, and including Coach to Coast, but also instead call it All Things Munster, ATM. Thank you.
I love it. Bravo. Brilliant, Butch. I love it. What do you think about that, Paul?
I'm very excited. I'm just taking it all in because this is the stuff that's right up my alley. You know, I'm a big fan of the Munsters, and you know, I grew up with them. I grew up with you guys and watching you guys on television, and you're such an iconic character and person that it's just wonderful to see that you're still, you know, giving back. That you're giving back to all of your fans, and you're somewhat accessible. So that's wonderful. Thank you, Butch.
Well, I enjoy what I do. It's easy. I enjoy road trips. I enjoy travel. I love America. I love Americana. And it allows me to, I found a very interesting niche that I'm a car club guy. I'm a musclehead, you know, I muscle cars and a gearhead. So I was lucky enough to get these cars, and, you know, growing up with George Barris, the king of the customizers, and learning from the best and touring the world with George. I love sharing the stories, because part of the magic of the Munsters was the quality people from top to bottom that applied their trades to it, from the Westmores and makeup to George Barris custom cars to the special effects people. Everybody was first rate.
It really was. And I want to thank you so much for all these years touring. In fact, I did want to mention a few of your tour dates. July 22nd through the 24th, you're going to be at Days of the Dead, Indianapolis. Is that right, Butch?
That's where I'm heading tomorrow.
Okay,
Friday,
so
Saturday, and Sunday. And if you're going to the Rob Zombie concert tomorrow night, I'll be there too, with Danny Roebuck, who plays the Count in the new movie.
wow, wonderful. Oh my gosh. So what a treat for all your fans. I so wish I could just blink my eyes and be there. Don't you, Paul?
Are you kidding me? I sure do. And it's close to home because I'm originally from the Chicagoland area. So it would be an amazing experience to be there with you guys, both in the concert and any of the events that you're doing there. Absolutely.
So Butch, how can we see you? Your tour dates are on your website. Is that right?
Yes, I try to update my schedule. I had a summer residency that I had planned to do at Indiana Beach that didn't work out. So I've been sort of playing catch up. So you kind of have to keep close watch, because dates are popping in at the last minute. Normally I book about 6 months out, but because of the nature that I had to play catch up, things are really popping. So yes, the Indianapolis date, that if you go to my website, the 30th, 31st, excuse me, the 29th, 30th, and 31st, I'm in the Cleveland area at 3 different events from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Lake Avon is up there. Then I'm going to be driving to Arkansas, back home. We're putting together some really nice stuff down there. And then I will be going back out to Connecticut for a car show on the 3rd week of the 20th, 19th, and 20th. And then Mad Monster Party in Charlotte the end of the month. But in the middle of the month, I'm going to be in the Arkansas area looking for some stuff to do. And then we're just booking a Labor Day weekend coming up as well. And I'll have more news on that.
Wow, this is phenomenal. And I want to say I'm so proud of you, Eddie. Oops, I'm so sorry. Whoops. Speaking of Yvonne DiCarlo, I loved Yvonne DiCarlo, and I wanted to ask you a question, if I may, Butch, about her. Can you tell us a little bit, you know, she was such a classic movie star and one of my favorites. Can you share with us a fond memory you have with Yvonne DiCarlo?
Oh yeah, there were several. She felt sorry for me because I was the only kid on the Universal lot. I was there unless we had a guest star on my show, on the show. And then, but she had two kids that she would bring out to sort of keep me company. And, you know, but I was perfectly comfortable being around adults. I didn't really get along that well with kids. I was sort of like an adult in a shirt, you know, they used to call me a 39-year-old midget because there's no way that kid's 11 years old. He's way too old. But she was very sweet, and she was like my mom because my mom was living on the East Coast. So the Munsters were literally like my family because my family happened to be, you know, not in the LA area. So it was very nice. She was really sweet about at Christmas and holidays and stuff to make sure that, you know, I got attention. I was like she called me her TV baby. Even later in life, she always says, you know, she goes, you were very talented little boy. And I was very worried about you, but you were very talented and you were my TV baby.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that so much.
And coming from her, she was an extremely talented woman. So that was very high praise and I appreciated it.
Yes, I can imagine. Go ahead, Paul.
Is it true? Were you flying back and forth to do the show from the East Coast to LA like weekly, or how did that work, Butch?
Well, I was living with my what happened was my mom married a baseball player with the California Angels. Well, the LA Angels back in the early 60s. And he got traded right after they got married. He got traded to the Washington Senators. So they all trotted off to the East Coast. I went as far as Illinois and lived with my grandmother. I had just completed a year of the Real McCoys. So I was taking a break, and that's when they cast the Munsters, and they had put another kid in and another mom, and they decided to change for Yvonne DiCarlo and someone else, being me. So my agent got them to fly me to Los Angeles, and I got the job. And then it was like, okay, now what do I do? Because my family's not here. So I moved in with my Uncle Woody, which was fine. I love my Uncle Woody, but we had to hire a woman to take me to work. She'd pick me up every day. And then once a month or so, I would fly back to DC to visit the family. Not every weekend, but once a month. I see. Yeah.
Wow.
But it was a hectic experience.
Sure was. Because even once a month, it comes so fast that you're like, oh, got to head back east again.
Right, and having a strange woman pick you. I mean, she was a friend of the family, but you know, she wasn't mom, and I couldn't do my lines with her. She wasn't. You know, when you have a rhythm and you're working, my mom and I were a team, and so I had to adjust a little bit. And I think that's why Yvonne was so important that she stepped up to the plate and helped me with not only the dialogue, you know, because we had a lot of dialogue, and Fred Gwynn helped me quite a bit, and Al Lewis took the time to let me be a little boy and throw a baseball or a frisbee or whatever. So between the cast, I was in good hands.
Now you worked with Fred Gwynn, and that was amazing because he was such a talented actor, such a force to reckon with, that he really was an amazing actor in that show. Did you learn a lot of things from him? Did you?
Yes, I did. You know, actually, we did some good father and son shows and some father and son scenes, and it was funny because to emphasize how good he was, a fellow actor named Robert Wool, comedian, artist, and movies and stuff. I met him recently, and I was going to ask him a question. Before I could ask him, he stopped me in my tracks. He goes, "Got a question for you." He goes, "Were you aware of the greatness that you were working with Mr. Fred Gwynn?" And I said, you know, probably not as much as I should have, but I certainly knew that I was working with a very talented guy, and I look forward to our scenes together. So that's pretty high praise.
It really is.
That's amazing. And you know what? It also speaks to your talent, because I feel like, did you know, Robert, you were just going to introduce yourself to Mr. Wall, correct? And he recognized you. He knew who you were?
Yeah. You know, it was funny that the Munsters, first of all, being done by the producers of Leave It to Beaver, they were very kid-friendly scripts. And if you look at Fred Gwynn, Herman Munster, his character was very childlike. It was a very naive, large, you know, Frankenstein monster with very naive and simple, friendly, childlike tendencies, which was great. I mean, that was part of the beauty of Fred Gwynn and Herman Munster. But for me, the more dialogue that they saw that I could handle, and the scenes that Fred and they started writing some scripts about the father and son dynamic, was really lucky for me, because Fred took it upon himself to work those scenes with me. And, you know, he would never want to disappoint his little boy. I would always volunteer him for everything. He was pretty agile, even in those big shoes. So there were a lot of athletic related shows. You know, he was a wrestler. He was a baseball player. He drove the race car. You know, he ran down the street. You know, he was very outgoing and animated, and it really showed well that I was very small. He was very tall, and it really played well.
Amazing. And I believe that's one of the reasons that they did cast you, I think, was maybe because of your stature. And it's amazing to think that somebody else could have been Eddie Munster, but yet, it changed in the pilot. So that's amazing that maybe that helped that you were of shorter stature.
Yeah, my whole career has been nothing but accidental, right place, right time. It was never a career move. It was, temporary jobs, come in handy later, money for race cars. I mean, I never wanted to be a career. I mean, I could do it and I enjoyed it, but it was never a career. It was always a hobby, and it was a fun hobby. I enjoyed it immensely, but I never really, I'm going about half the interviews I got called for. My mom used to get very upset with me. She'd drive by junior high school. I'd be playing football. She'd go, Walt Disney, got to go. I go, Mom, I'm in the middle of a game. And, she'd drive away, but she never forced me to go to interviews. But I often wondered what would have happened had I lived a little closer to Hollywood.
And yes, you did other shows, many films and TV productions throughout your career so far. Butch, you have also been in I Dream of Jeannie, one of my favorite episodes, and many other. What other favorites stand out in your mind?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the Phantom Toll Booth for Chuck Jones, as it was his only feature film he ever did. And it was like a 2-year process because it took a while to do the animation. And then you go in and do some voices. Then they do some more animation and do some more voices. So that was one of my favorites. But I also, the all-time favorite week of my life for acting was when I did the Monkees Christmas episode, because you're a 13, 14-year-old kid and the Monkees are like the biggest thing going, and then to wind up actually working with them for the entire week, not just like a walk-on scene, but being the equal, because they're like my babysitters and they're showing me what about Christmas. And anyway, that was like the best week ever for me, to be an equal and work on a Christmas episode, which I think is one of the best episodes they ever did. Not because I'm on it, because I really enjoy the way at the end they sing a cappella, and I also like the way they break down the fourth wall and they introduce the world to all the people behind the scenes that make the show work. And that was literally how the set was. It was a very happy set. It was a very energetic, fun, laugh a minute, improvise. And I love the way that show ends, to where they're introducing everybody behind the scenes.
That's amazing. Go ahead, Paul.
What year was this, Butch?
67. It was Christmas of 67.
Amazing.
And Butch, I did want to say thank you so much for sharing how endearing and loving Yvonne DiCarlo was to you. Like she was like a stage mom, if you will, on the studio, and I loved hearing that. And I had one more question about the makeup for Eddie Munster and the outfits. Did you have to go through several different changes throughout the 2 seasons?
Well, I was growing a little bit, and those were very tight little shorts. So they let the shorts out a couple times, obviously. And when we did the movie, they made me a purple outfit. So I had 2 purple suits, and I had 4 oyster mushroom colored suits. I was not a big fan of my outfits. It's, I wore it, and it was only 3 days a week. We only filmed Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But I was much more comfortable when I was in my jammies.
And I have to ask this about Woofy. Where is Woofy? Isn't that the most famous question that you get? I had to ask it.
It is the most common asked question when anybody comes to the table. I actually had the original. It was given to me about 8 years later after the show ended by the prop master when I was doing an Ironside. He brought it up to my attention and gave it to me. And I unfortunately didn't really take very good care of him, and he sort of deteriorated because he was foam rubber and he should have been much better taken. I had him hanging from a noose in a bay window at the beach, so the sun got to him. But what I did is I sold him to a gentleman that restored him, and then we sold 93 dolls to collectors. I have the number 2 doll right now, and I also have 2 other Woof Woof dolls that professionals have made. So now I have 3 variations of Woof Woof.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, will you be selling any of those? Or see, I got this from your website about a year ago. This is from Rebel Rock, I believe. And Rebel. Yeah, I'm sorry, Rebel. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Butch. Please go ahead and correct me. Sorry, love.
This is the new one here. I'll show you a picture. Hold on, where are they? There we are.
Wow, look at that. Oh my gosh, this is such a treat. This is an exclusive. That's an exclusive right
You
here.
got it. It's an exclusive.
Thank you so much, Butch. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Eddie. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep slipping in and out. What is wrong with me? It must be a full moon tonight. Okay. Over to you, Paul.
I love it. I got to check out the website now. Of course, my questions are usually like on the technical side. How did you acquire Munsters.com? Because, and you said it was in the 90s, so it was kind of the birth of the World Wide Web.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was 95, 96, how did you, I don't know, I don't want to say how did you have the foresight, but how were you actually technically able to acquire the website? And I mean, the worth now must be astronomical. Not that that's the reason you did it, but I mean, what a great vision.
I had just moved to Florida in the early 90s, and there was a gentleman named Bob Schoolcraft, I remember his name, and we were talking about the web was, kind of new still. I mean, it wasn't like, people were still not harvesting, buying up every .com you could get your hands on. And I reached out, and Munsters.com was available. And I also, at the same time, I also bought TVland.com, and I bought LaLaLand.com. And unfortunately, I kept on top of the Munsters.com and made it active. But the other two, the web guy, not Schoolcraft, but another person that stepped in, didn't pay the payments on the other two. And TV Land was stolen, literally. I mean, I still had it, but when TV Land came on the air, it's just surprisingly it disappeared from my ownership. The La La Land, that was one that I had to. These were not because I thought they were valuable. They were things that I would say to people like, "Oh, I live in TV Land," or "I'm from La La Land," meaning Los Angeles, and that's why I would buy them. It wasn't so much that I was looking to make money. It just it was a catchphrase for me. And I thought for $9, you might as well buy the thing. You never know when you might need it. But Munsters.com has been very, very good to me. It's easy to remember. I've had it a long, long time. I have a good relationship with Universal Studios. I don't do anything that would tarnish the image of the show. If anything, my attorney spoke to their attorney once and said, he's really kind of a goodwill ambassador for you guys, And what I do is I buy stuff to sell that's licensed, from someone else. So they've been getting their fees. So there's not like any bootleg stuff going on. So everybody's happy.
I love it. I love it.
I love that. That is fantastic. Have you transitioned into, or do you have any desire to explore the world of NFTs? Because I know that that's probably been a big thing in the past couple of years. I'm sure people have come to you with that, and I don't know if it's something that you've jumped on or said no thanks.
I had one meeting with an NFT person, and at the end of the meeting, they basically said, "So do you want to go?" And I go, "Yeah, how much do you want to invest?" And I says, "I don't want to invest anything." I go, "If you're in an NFT, I have my third, I'm me, and I do what I do, and I'm out on the road. You do what you do. Go find another person that, we need a third partner, because I'm not going to use my own money on this particular deal." And that's kind of where I left it. But, I can see the value of it. I see where people are doing it. And if someone wanted to come to me, I have no problem, being my own spokesperson and going on the road and promoting and marketing, but I'm not going to invest in it.
100%. I mean, just the audacity to go like, Butch, I would love to partner up with you. Use your name, use your image.
Yeah.
But now I also want to use your money.
I mean, it was like, no, thank you. It's okay. You go get. I got my third. You got your third. You go get the other third to finance it.
100%. If anything, you should get half, and then they split a quarter each.
Yeah. I mean, I was happy with thirds, but it was like, I'm not putting my money in it. Sorry.
No. That's it's not your first rodeo.
I do want to say, I love that question, by the way. Thank you so much, Paul, for that. And thank you, Butch, for answering. I do have something I did want to mention. I did want to say a special thank you and shout out to Lois Grubb. She handles the Munsters and Butch Patrick Facebook group. Hi, Lois. And I just want to say thank you, Lois. Right, Butch?
Yes. No, Lois is amazing. She's an amazing woman. She runs a great ship. She keeps it Munster friendly. We're over 51,000 members. It's not a small, and she has 3 other sites that she maintains as well. So I've been very, very, very blessed to have not only Lois, but we have a few members that are very good lieutenants to the general, and they keep an eye out when Lois might, one might slip through the crack. And as we lovingly call Lois, she's the hammer.
Yes, she is. We
comes
love.
down. No profanity. If it wouldn't be on the Munsters, it can't be on the Munsters.com.
Yes, that's right. So big kisses and a lot of love to Lois Grubb. Thank you, Lois, so much. And I'm such honored and privileged to be a member as well. So thank you so much. And I'm so sorry, we're going to have to start wrapping it up, but we're going to do final thoughts first. Okay. And I want to say, Butch, thank you so much. We have to have you on again. You're one of my favorite special VIP guests. And let's go over and start with Paul for final thoughts. Over to you, Paul.
I know that this is not about me, but first of all, I want to apologize that I didn't shave. I'm auditioning for the role of a pirate, and I'm doing it tomorrow morning. So I need to look as scruffy as possible. So my apologies. Normally, I would try to clean myself up, especially for such an esteemed guest as Butch here. So thank you though, so thank you though for doing this. I mean, I'm almost emotional and tearing up because again, to meet someone even via Zoom here and for our podcast, to be on our podcast, it's a true honor because again, you're an American icon. I grew up, watching you, not as they were live, but soon thereafter. But it was, and it's incredible that I believe that there were only 2 seasons, but the impact that it has had on the world is amazing. So thank you for taking the time to be here, Butch. And I hope everyone, goes over there and follows you and visits your website. And so thank you. And if there's ever any time, I would love to have you on my podcast, Paul Vato Presents. Sorry, AJ, I'm trying to poach Butch. So thank you. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
No problem. We'll definitely make that happen.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate you. You're the best spooktacular co-host ever. And now we're going to go over to our special VIP, Butch Patrick. Over to you for final thoughts, Butch.
I mean, I'm just a very lucky person that latched on to a show some almost 60 years ago. And it never ceases to amaze me how positive the energy is. And all I have to do is go out and be there to engage people and smile. And how can you not love it when all you have to do is show up and the people come to you and say how much they loved you and how much you were part of their family and how important it was as a kid, or when they were depressed, they watched the show. I mean, it's just, people ask me, do you ever get tired of doing it? I go, how could you ever get tired of having this positive energy exchange for just being on a show a long time ago? And it's magical. And it's never ceases to amaze me how broad the fan base is globally, and it's just getting bigger. So thank you all for watching the show originally and every generation afterwards. And I just enjoy you make my job easy, and I'll keep it up as long as I can.
Oh, Butch, we appreciate you so much. And, I'm so thankful to call you my friend. And I know we're going to be lifelong friends. And I hope one day you come back on my show again. Thank you so much, Butch. It's been such an honor and a privilege. And I hope I did justice to...
Oh, you did fabulous. You look wonderful.
Lily. I love her. And here's my final thoughts. Thank you so much, Butch. Here's my final thoughts. And Butch, you may remember this. The lesson I want you to learn is it doesn't matter what you look like. You can be tall, short, or fat, or thin, or ugly, or handsome like your father. Or you can be black, or yellow, or white. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the size of your heart and the strength of your character. Herman Munster speaking to his beloved son, Eddie Munster.
Absolutely. It's one of the best speeches ever. And I think it shows why the Munsters is so popular, because it's a real family. Even though it's on television, we had family love and we all ate dinner together. And at the end of the day, Herman's wisdom would solve whatever problem we happen to be dealing with.
I loved that. Thank you so much, Butch. And with blessings and happy journeys, safe journeys for the rest of your tour. We wish you well, and a big kiss and a big hug from Paul, and I. And until next time, Butch, have a great evening.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.